Good afternoon, everyone. It's time for lunch. Yay! I am especially excited about today's lunch because it sounds like a really good idea. Today's lunch, as our caption to the video says, is pizza soup. So it combines a lot of the flavors of pizza and turns it into a soup. So, I already have some stuff in the oven. Yes, we need the oven to make soup, but I think it's going to be worth it. And the recipe today comes from, I've used this cookbook I think once before, the Whole Smith's Good Food Cookbook by Michelle Smith. I believe Michelle Smith has another Whole Smith's cookbook coming out at the end of this month, so I'm pretty excited to see what's in there. Maybe I will cook from it in the new year, we'll see. And I'm just snacking on some olives because I'm hungry. So what this soup involves is some onions, tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, of course salt and pepper, some mild or sweet style Italian sausage, 1 green bell pepper diced, we'll get there, chicken broth, tomato paste, dried oregano, dried parsley, I said salt and pepper, fresh basil, olives, red pepper flakes. So I thought I had green bell peppers. I usually keep a bag frozen in my freezer, and then it occurred to me as I was going through the freezer this morning that I didn't anymore because I used it. I had like a couple left from like another random bag and some frozen onions. So, but what this recipe starts off with is some of the onion for the recipe you are going to quarter and roast in the oven with some tomatoes and garlic. So I have that going right now. I just coated them in olive oil and salt, and they've been roasting in the oven for about half an hour now. So I actually, just a couple minutes ago, I turned off the heat, and so they're still inside the warm oven until we're ready for them. And then what we do is we start to cook the sausage. Oh, here's what it looks like. Ooh. And it's totally healthy. All of the food is obviously fresh, no additives. There's no dairy in this recipe, but if you like dairy, you can always top it with a little mound of shredded cheese or something like that, but you don't need any of that in the soup itself, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and, I need some olive oil. Some more olive oil. I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil in my pan, just a little bit. Sausage already has enough fat, so it doesn't really need it. And I'm just gonna turn on my heat. And then what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to crumble up the sausage into the pan, removing the casings, because that would not be delicious in the soup. I have a knock at my door. It's like Mr. Rogers. Hang on.
Hi, Alyssa.
Oh, thank you.
Did you get your package? Did you get that straight?
Thank you. It's like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood over here. Christmas gifts are coming to the house is what's happening. And we're trying to make sure between my neighbors and myself that nobody's packages get left on the doorstep because it's that time of year. All right, so I'm just peeling the casings off by hand, and then I'm just going to crumble it into the pan in nice size chunks. I don't want it to be too small. I want there to be the texture in the soup, but not too big where you can't actually have a little mouthful, right? So I'm just going to do this all together, and then I'll make sure to wash my hands. All right, let's get another one. This is actually my favorite way to cook sausage, to like take the casing off and just have little crumbles, and then I do a whole bunch at one time, and I keep it in my fridge so I can like reheat them with like, toss them on a salad, heat up some frozen vegetables, and toss the sausage in. So I love cooking my sausage this way all the time. And also the smaller the pieces, the faster it'll cook, so you're not sitting over the stove for longer than you need to. And it's quick to cook, which I like. And I do want to make sure I get a little bit of browning on here as well, because it adds flavor. Okay, last one. I'm trying to see. So I'm not doing like the full recipe. Normally you do like 1 pound of sausage, but I'm just doing a little bit. As usual, I'm just kind of like winging the recipe a little bit. I didn't have that much fresh onion. I only had a small one. You know, as usual, it's using what you have around the house. You can still follow a lot of these recipes because they're things that are made with staples. I always have an onion and some kind of tomato or something in the house, you know. All right, so I'm going to throw this out and wash my hands. And I always have like a can of tomatoes or something. I now have 3 cans of tomato paste in the house. So, you know, I'm trying to pull recipes and cookbooks from the library for this that, you know, you don't really need special things for, or you could easily make substitutions. So, and that's kind of what this one is. So just want to keep an eye on this and make sure that nobody burns, but I do want them to cook up nicely. And then when this comes out, I'll get a bowl for that. We'll put the onions and whatever peppers I managed to find in my freezer in that same pan with the same, like the browning from the sausage and the drippings cooks up really nicely. And if you hear a little bell, it's not that an angel got their wings, it's that Licorice is in the kitchen. Licorice is always in the kitchen. Actually, she's been following me around all day, so I was in here cleaning before and making the cookies for tomorrow's cookie decorating demo, which is tomorrow at 12. So she followed me in, but then I went to go answer emails on my computer in the other room, and she got upset that I had moved without telling her. And I keep going back and forth, and she's displeased. Alright, so I'm going to give these a flip. I don't know if you can see, but they have some really nice browning on the first side, which is perfect. It's exactly what I want. I'm just trying to very thoroughly make sure that everybody is flipped over so that there's not too much browning on one side versus the other. There we go. we can cook that pink out. And I do, you know, there are some recipes that I've done with everybody where I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter if it's not totally cooked through because we'll finish cooking it at the end. I do want this cooked through because we don't cook the soup with the sausage too much. You'll see, once we get to the end, we're going to bring the soup to a boil and then we'll reduce it to a simmer, but we don't do that with the sausage in it. We add the sausage in at the end just to warm it back up, so it does need to be cooked through first. Oh yeah. My tomatoes and garlic and onions look really good. So I've got my pot ready, and then I am going to use an immersion blender this time. I know when I did the broccoli cheese soup, I used the food processor or the blender, but to be honest, and it was probably the cheese, it was such a pain to clean out of the bottom of the blender, all of the like warm cheese. And this recipe doesn't have that, doesn't have anything sticky, but also I kind of was like, my parents don't live that far away from me and they have an immersion blender, so I'm gonna borrow theirs. Just to make it easier so I have less dishes to do, because Wednesday is usually a day of dishes. And like I said, today I am decorating the cookies for tomorrow's video, so I just kind of wanted to make it easier. So the immersion blender kind of does make it easier. So we'll do that together. But yes, my cookies are cooling on the table. I have a couple different kinds, and so tomorrow's video, which will be on here, on YouTube, and on Instagram, just shows you how to decorate some really pretty winter cookies. I know that we're probably not interested in getting food from people who don't live in our household this year, but for family members, or if you do have a group of people that you're doing a cookie exchange for or something like that, or you just want to decorate them for yourself because it is kind of fun and therapeutic to do, I'll show you 3 different types of cookie decorations that I do every year when I make my sugar cookies, and everybody loves them and they're a lot of fun to decorate. So hopefully everybody can have some fun with that as well. So check on our sausage. I can still see a little bit of pink, so I'm going to flip it again. It's not going to take that much longer to cook. There's very little pink left that I can see. And if you try to make them in uniform size chunks, you always see that on the cooking shows when they're like trying to teach people how to cook. Like, you need to make your knife cuts more uniform because then everything will cook more evenly. So, you know, you're not going to have one little shrivel of sausage in the corner that's burning while you still have a big piece that's raw in the middle. So, but like I said, these are almost done. I'm going to give it, I think they're still a little squishy. I think these are done. So for this bigger piece where I didn't follow my own advice, I'm going to give it just another minute. I have my bowl ready here. Let's see. Remove the sausage, set it aside, add the onion and bell pepper until tender and slightly caramelized. My onions and peppers are frozen, so they'll cook down a lot faster, which is nice. Lower my flame and scoop my sausage in here, and we'll put that to the side. I've definitely been in the mood for soup lately. I keep talking about it when I talk about what recipes I'm going to do, just because it's gotten so chilly and dry, and what better way to combat that than with some homemade soup? And soup is pretty easy to do. I mean, usually you make a nice big batch. It only takes, you know, 1 or 2 pots, and you kind of cook everything together, and then, you know, you have leftovers for another day, which is nice. All right, so I'm going to just slowly add this in here carefully because it's still a little frozen and wet. Some splatter. All right. Just be careful. Obviously, some vegetables have a lot of water in them if you're using frozen, of course, as well, and we have oil in the pan, so just be careful. Use a splatter guard if you need it. Alright, there we go. Good. So I'm just going to let these brown and warm up and soften and release their flavors together, and then we move on to the soup part of the soup. Okay, so I'm going to let that come back up to temperature. Put this to the side. I keep looking at those cookies, wanting to give them a taste, but knowing that I can't until I decorate them and make sure that the video gets recorded for tomorrow. But I have a really bad sweet tooth this time of year. It's okay. All right. These are starting to brown up. They're nice and soft already. Again, sometimes it's easier to use frozen vegetables because if you don't want to be standing at the stove all day, they already, once you thaw them, they are already kind of softened. You still need to cook them to release their flavors and everything, but like when I made the broccoli soup with the frozen broccoli, because I had steamed it in the microwave first to defrost it, it cooked a lot faster. So if you are somebody who loves to cook, but you're like me and you don't have that much time because you're working a lot, it's nice to use the frozen vegetables. It kind of cuts out some of the steps, or some of the time in the steps. All right, I'm going to make sure this is open. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to grab our veggies from this oven, is what it's called, the oven. So there's some browning, there's some roasting, and I'm going to go ahead and scoop that into this pot. I'll add all of the ingredients and we'll turn that on and get that going. There's a very well roasted piece of garlic over there. Just remember when you do this to keep an eye on it because garlic does burn pretty quickly, so if you need to give it a toss at some point halfway through roasting, make sure you do that. Give this a stir. So we can add the broth now to our pot as well. I'm not going to use the whole thing. Like I said, usually I kind of cut down the recipes a little bit because it's just me and I want to make sure I eat it all before it goes bad. So I have a little leftover chicken broth if I want to make something else. What else? Tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Some oregano, some parsley. Don't skimp on your tomato paste. It's got so much concentrated flavor. So good. So, so good. Alright, so I have parsley. Let's let's see, add the basil and the olives at the end. I'm going to put in the basil now because I don't have fresh basil, so I want to make sure that it cooks in with all this liquid. I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat on. Add in my dried herbs. Give this a stir. Multitask. It's like a teaspoon of most of these herbs. I'm going to add in some extra basil though to compensate for the lack of fresh basil. Turn the heat off of this because those are nice. They all have a little bit of browning caramelization around the edges. They're really nice and soft and fragrant, so I know that they're done and I don't need to heat them up anymore. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Some black pepper and a little bit of salt. Okay. And then I'm going to stir that all together and we'll get that heated up. And I love pizza. Pizza is like my thing. I'm forever looking for like healthy pizza and ways to hit the pizza craving without being unhealthy and eating too much pizza. Which happens. There was a time where I was going to this pizza place. A friend and I used to go to this pizza place all the time where the pizza was not just like your average pizza. It was like stuffed with extra cheese or chicken cutlets, and then on top it had its own toppings, or it was stuffed with penne, and I ate a lot of that. So now maybe pizza soup will help the cravings instead. Yikes. So I'm just stirring this all up. I'm going to kind of dissolve that tomato paste in the liquid here. And just make sure everything is combined. We want to hydrate those herbs. And we're going to let that get nice and warm. So let's see. Let's go back to the recipe and see what we got. Okay. So I'm going to let it heat up a little bit, and then it says use the immersion blender, blend the soup until well incorporated. Again, if you don't have an immersion blender, you can carefully transfer the mixture to a standing blender, let cool briefly, carefully puree, and then pour the soup back into the pot. Bring the soup to a boil, then reduce the heat to low, and return the cooked sausage and vegetables to the pot. So that's why these guys come in after you blend. They just add a little bit of texture. So I'm actually going to, should I switch these? I'm going to switch these. I'm going to switch these around so that my immersion blender can reach over here a little easier. Okay. That way I'm not struggling with my cord or dragging it over the stove or anything. And then you can see it better. Okay. There we go. Okay, much better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in my immersion blender. A little tangled. There we go. Start off slow. See what happens. There we go. Alright, I'll do that. Okay, this is messy. I am wearing my tomatoes. Oh my god, it's not too bad. Alright. messy, and I think it's because I don't have enough liquid in here, and so it's splattering everywhere because it keeps getting air bubbles in it. So, hang on. I'm like wearing it, which is fine. It smells delicious. But a little embarrassing. I'm going to add some more liquid to pump up the flavor and to prevent it from splattering like this. An extra tomato paste to compensate for the flavor. Anyway, we do things here on the fly. Wow, you're so messy. I was like, oh no, some got on the floor, but that's just cat food. She's so messy when she eats. All right, and get some extra tomato paste to re-pump up that flavor. All right, ready? Here we go. See if the depth of that helps better. That should be better. All right. There we go. Much better. Is I'm kind of looking to see where there are any chunks that are still too big, and I'm turning my immersion blender off, putting it on top, and then blending. You don't need to keep being so messy. Honestly, it looks like pizza sauce and smells like pizza sauce in here. And I think that is the end of you. There we go. Okay, so it actually looks like pizza sauce, and it smells like pizza sauce, and that's pretty amazing. And I'm gonna clean up some of the mess. I'm gonna unplug this now that we are done. I will detach that in a little bit. Okay. So what needs to happen is it needs to come back up to temperature. All the ingredients come up to temperature, let it boil, let it thicken, let all of the flavors come together. So again, those herbs that I used were dry, right? So they need to rehydrate so they can release their flavor. Here, you're a little messy today. And a little bit there. All right, we're good. When was the last time I cleaned the stove is what this is making me also realize. Oh, it smells so good, all of those herbs in there. Oh my goodness, I love the way that smells. And so we just let this go now. And once it's up to boiling, I'll put these onions and peppers back in, let everything sit. If you have fresh basil, you add it then. And also some olives. You put some olives in. Do you like olives on your pizza? I don't mind olives on my pizza. I know it's some people hate olives. So I'm going to chop up some olives now so that those are ready while I'm waiting for this to boil up. But I do like olives on my pizza, that's for sure. I like pretty much anything on my pizza. I just like pizza, right? So it doesn't matter to me. I mean, obviously a good plain pie is delicious. But sometimes I get really disappointed when people are like, oh, we're just going to have a plain pie. Okay, but you don't want chicken or sausage or veggies on it, or if if you're not gonna have anything on your pizza, you're not gonna have anything on the side. First of all, also you need protein, so like get some chicken parm or something. Which is why, again, I like this soup because it is pizza flavor, but there's protein in it, so it's a well-rounded meal in itself. Alright, so I'm just chopping up my olives so that they're nice little rounds. And I'm getting some bubbles in my soup. Couple more. Okay. Alright, so I've got my olives. Those are good. Let's see how you're doing. Oh, smells really good. I'll turn the heat down just a little bit. I'm gonna add in these veggies, get them all warmed up. Get every last piece out there. Okay, good. Stir them in. Okay. Alright. So, while I'm waiting for this to just finish heating thoroughly before I add my sausage back in, actually I could probably add my sausage in. I'm gonna add in, so I'm gonna add in my olives and my sausage now, and then while I wait for these to come to temperature, so I can taste my soup, I'll show you a couple more things from this cookbook. Ooh, that completes it for sure. Oh, I just love like the oregano. The scent of the oregano is so strong. It's so good. So this cookbook is full of delicious things. I probably went over some of the other recipes last time, but it's just really great recipes if you want to make sure that you are living healthy, but also you like good food. You know, for people who are trying to be healthy, and that includes not having alcohol or sugary cocktails, there's like all these mocktails, like this mince mule, and it's just lime juice, honey, freshly grated ginger ice, ginger kombucha, and sparkling water, which sounds right up my alley. I love mules, but I don't really drink alcohol because it's not that good for you. And also I'm sitting at home. What do I need it for? Peach and basil margarita mocktail. Different lattes, different smoothies, chocolate chip and sea salt cookies. Take a look at how good these look. Look at that. And these are gluten-free, so they use almond flour and coconut flour and some tapioca starch for the smoothness that you're missing with gluten. But otherwise, I mean, they have chocolate chips. They have, oh, yum. They're made with coconut sugar, so aside from your chocolate chips, they could also be traditional sugar-free. Coconut sugar is still sugar, but it's just better for you, apparently. mocha fudge ice cream, homemade Caesar dressing, homemade ranch so that you know it's healthy. Oh, this sounds good. I'm not normally into split pea soup, but this sounds pretty good. It's split pea and crispy prosciutto soup. And you make it with bacon instead of ham. I love bacon, so. And then you bake some prosciutto in the oven so it gets crispy, and you put that on top as your little garnish. There's our pizza soup, green curry sweet potato soup, salt and vinegar kale chips, roasted eggplant bake, sounds delicious. Chipotle lime butternut squash. I think I mentioned this last time that I really wanted to make these, and I still haven't done it yet. But they look like little french fries. Look at that. Chipotle lime, that sounds delicious. Let's see what else is in here. Chimichurri taco peppers, so a rift on a stuffed pepper. Butternut squash enchiladas, Instant Pot Asian braised short ribs. Again, I'll say it again, if you're looking for Instant Pot cookbooks, we have plenty now. We had a couple at the beginning of the year, and then once we opened back up for curbside, a lot of people were asking for Instant Pot cookbooks, and we got a couple more. And there are a lot of cookbooks that have Instant Pot recipes in them too, and when you search keyword terms on bccls.org, if it's in the book's description that they also have Instant Pot recipes, they'll come up. So that's a little searching tip for you. Let's see. Ooh, zucchini street tacos with poblano crema that you make yourself. Chipotle lime shrimp, which might be what I made last time. Is that what I made? I don't remember. Spaghetti squash tuna casserole, Vietnamese style lettuce wraps, Mediterranean bowls. Maybe that was what I made. I think I made the Mediterranean bowl last time because I made the lamb meatballs, right? I think that's what I did last time. Salmon avocado salad, that looks so good. And you use canned salmon for that. Like this cookbook is not difficult. But it's all fresh, so it just shows you how you can, well, I guess that's the good food cookbook, delicious real food recipes to cook all year round. It's easy. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? Okay, so I think this is done. So I'm going to get... I have my dairy-free mozzarella shreds. They are grain-free as well, because I know some of these cheese replacements have a lot of corn starch in them and stuff, but just a little something. I'm going to turn my heat off, get my ladle. I'm going to go ahead and scoop it into my bowl. Make sure I get a little bit of everything in there. Make sure I get some olives. Make sure I get plenty of sausage. I'm going to put just a little bit of my replacement cheese. You don't need to use it, or if you want to use real cheese, that's up to you. Just how I eat. Just a little bit. And then also for serving, it says in the book, don't forget your red pepper flakes. So my grandpa used to put his crushed red pepper flakes on pretty much anything. If it was on the table at a restaurant, it was going on his food. I'm gonna put just a little bit. They do pack a punch, but just a little bit for serving right on top. And where's my spoon? Here's our pizza soup. It smells really good. Very hot. Could get a little bit of sausage, a little olive in there, some broth. Okay. Let's see how it came out. It's very hot though. Like, okay, I'm just gonna eat this right off of the fire. It does basically just taste like pizza sauce. It does. You use enough herbs. Which is good though. It is a soup version of pizza sauce, and it's amazing. And you know, like I said, I love making sausage and having it around the house to put into the things that I'm eating, so this is perfect. You can definitely taste that the tomatoes are roasted. It's got that, I made sure there was a little bit of char on the edges of my onions and tomatoes and garlic, and you can taste that coming through, and it's really good. It's really good. Then of course if you have fresh basil, you can top it with fresh basil as well for some extra fresh flavor. But because I made sure to let my dried herbs really rehydrate themselves, the flavor is all throughout the soup. And if you don't like sausage, you could do shredded chicken, you could do shredded turkey, you could do whatever you would like. I don't know if ham would taste good in this, but don't like olives, don't put olives in there. You want some broccoli on your pizza soup, have some broccoli on your pizza soup. No one says that you need to stick to it as written verbatim, but the base of the soup is absolutely delicious. So I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit so I can actually enjoy eating it. It's very hot still. But that is it for this week for Book Cooks. The whole Smith's Good Food Cookbook is available at our library and other libraries, and there are so many cookbooks that are available. You can give us a call if you don't know what you're looking for, or request it on buckles.org, and we will make sure to get that out for you. All right, so that is it. I hope that everybody enjoys the rest of their day. I hope you have a good lunch if you're having lunch right now. Maybe it's not as good as my pizza soup, but so enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow for cookie decorating. And also, if you have little kids in your life, don't forget we start our holiday stories series tomorrow at 7 p.m. as well. All right, good night, or good afternoon, goodbye, whatever. I'm thinking 7 p.m. tomorrow, I'm thinking good night, but it's not, and it's also kind of dark out. I need to eat my lunch. Okay, bye.